Well, everyone's doing it, but I'm gonna do a little different take on it. So everyone's like raving about WTF chicken. So WTF does not mean what the, it means wash the flour, seitan chicken. So so everybody online are doing like big batches of like all-purpose flour, and you add water to it, and you make a dough, and then you wash out all the starch. So I mean, that kind of like, now that Vital Wheat gluten is readily available, they separate it for you. I'm gonna do a slight different take on it. I'm still gonna wash it, but I'm probably not gonna need to wash it as much as the people are doing with their video with only the flour. So let's get right into it, I guess. we're going to get right into the recipe. So I have my KitchenAid ready with the dough hook attachment. I'm gonna add 3 cups of Vital Wheat gluten. So this is all protein, basically. Protein right from the gluten. Then I'm gonna add about 2 cups of all-purpose flour. And then I have, this is about 1.5 cup to 2 cups of water. I'm gonna start with 1.5 cups of water. And we're just gonna mix it until the dough comes together and gets nice and smooth. You can knead it by hand, but I have the mixer, I'm gonna use the mixer. If you don't have one, then you're gonna have to work your arms. So I'm probably gonna need to add about twice the amount of water, because Vital Wheat gluten is more absorbent than flour itself. So I have another 1.5 cups. Let's see what happens. So total I have 3 cups of water in here. It's gonna take more than 3 cups. This is the first time I'm making it, so just bear with me. I'm gonna add another cup of water. No, I should start with half a cup. So right now we have 3.5 cups of water. And this water amount will vary depending on the type of all-purpose flour you're using. So if your all-purpose flour is more finely milled, it's going to take more water. If it's coarser, it's going to take less. Now I'm going to get out. So as you can see, this Vital Wheat gluten dough clump, it's really sticky and stretchy. It's so, oh my god, it's so strong. So instead of making it into a ball, I'm gonna kind of like flatten it out, and I'm gonna hydrate this even further by soaking it in water for about an hour. So all the videos that I've seen take like just straight flour mixture, the flour dough mixture, and just they make it into a ball and soak it in water for about an hour to 2 hours. So if you are trying to make this ahead of time, you can soak it overnight if you want to, if in the refrigerator. But if you're pressed for time, I would soak it in a lukewarm water, because the warmer the water, more absorbent. I mean, it will absorb better into the dough. So we're gonna let this sit for about an hour, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna make delicious teriyaki chicken. So in another video, I'm gonna make a teriyaki sauce or teriyaki glaze that I used in my Hawaiian barbecue restaurant when I had that in Northern California. So I mean, that recipe alone is worth, I made a lot of money with the recipe. We made teriyaki chicken, we also made tempura chicken, and I made chili garlic chicken with that recipe, and I also did orange chicken with that teriyaki sauce. So I'm gonna put a link to this video on the teriyaki chicken, and then look at that teriyaki sauce recipe. And make sure you write down that recipe, because with that recipe I'm going to show you like 4 more different types of dishes you can make with it. So we're going to let this vital wheat gluten / seitan soak in the water. We'll come back after an hour and I'll show you how to wash this out, as they say. Alright, so this the gluten has been sitting in here for about an hour and a half actually. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually take this and kind of like wash it. The texture is like, it reminds me of like when you I used to like break down chicken when I was not a vegan. So, and then when you like wash the cutting board afterwards, and then all the protein pieces kind of like get stuck in the mesh along with chunks of fat. This kind of reminds me of that. Yes, it's gross, but this isn't as bad because it doesn't have that smell. So, throw this water away, since the water is pretty milky. Okay, so I'm gonna continue to massage this and like wash the starch out. Actually, I want to try something that people haven't done before. I'm gonna put it in my mixer and let the mixer do the work for me to wash out the starch. So I have the flour / gluten / seitan in here. I have water in here. I'm gonna turn it on with the dough hook. I have guard because I don't want the water to come out. But you can kind of see that the mixer's doing the work for me. I don't have to wash it out. So if you plan on doing a lot of washing the flour, seitan chicken meat kind of like recipe, I recommend you invest in one of these KitchenAid stand mixers. So this is the second time I'm washing this out, and there's not a lot of starch coming out, because remember I only put 2 cups of it and 3 cups of vital wheat gluten. So out of 5 cups, only 2 cups of all-purpose flour. So my yield will be much higher too. If you use all all-purpose flour, you're gonna get less yield because you're throwing away most of the starch. The vital wheat gluten is just gluten to start with.
Okay, so the texture is like really spongy, kind of like stretchy. So yeah, what we're supposed to do now is drain all the water. So drain most of the water, and we're gonna season this.
The way I'm gonna season it is kind of like marinade that I used to do for my chicken. I used to use fresh garlic, but now that we're gonna take this and put it in the saute pan, so I'm gonna use dry garlic.
But first of all, I have a tablespoon of mushroom powder, and then 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, 1 tablespoon of garlic powder, and then 1.5 teaspoon of onion powder. And then we're just gonna massage it into the seitan, and we're gonna let this rest for about
30 minutes.
just check
Make sure all the marinade goes inside.
the gluten. It's like the messiest recipe I've worked with. And we're gonna kind of like break it into manageable sizes. And we're gonna let it sit here for about
Half an hour. Okay, so
I'll be back after half an hour.
okay, so I've let this sit
Sit for
half an hour to an hour. Okay, closer to an hour.
hour, and it's kind of relaxed. So I'm gonna
The videos I've seen, they kind of like make a knot.
with it, but mine's kind of like falling apart. So I'm just gonna do 1 knot. Well, I may be able to do 2 knots. Okay. This one, I don't think I can do 2 knots because it's kind of fatty. So I'm gonna knot all these.
And then come back and we're gonna cook these, okay? Okay, so this is the last one. And I think I know why everyone knots these. So the Chinese, the ancient Chinese, you know, when they first started doing these, why you make a knot is to kind of like mimic when you like. Okay, I wasn't a vegan before, so when you eat a piece of chicken thigh, the muscles go different ways. So I know it's kind of gross, you know, not being a vegan, just describing it is kind of like gross to me. So I think the whole idea of making the knot with the seitan is that you're kind of creating that kind of like structure, muscle structure with like basically vegetable protein, you know? So
Yeah, gluten is a protein, so I pretty much tied a knot with all of these. I just have one left. Um, so we'll see
how these turn out. So
I've seen several different ways people cook these on the internet, and some of them wrap them in foil and then boil them or bake them in the oven. I've seen someone kind of like seared it with
a little bit of oil and then kind of like braise them in some liquid. So I'm gonna do the searing and then braising liquid.
because I'm gonna serve this with my teriyaki sauce. So we're gonna kind of like
See if it turns out like teriyaki chicken.
we'll see. Okay, so everything is done.
I'm gonna go get ready and then I'll show you. So I have a non-stick pan right here.
I'm gonna be using olive oil. So I'm just gonna coat the bottom of the pan with olive oil. I'm gonna turn this on high. So when the oil kind of heats up,
I'm gonna place my seitan in there and I'm gonna turn it down. Once I get them nice and brown, I'm gonna turn it down to medium heat.
so I'm gonna take a piece. We'll see how this comes out.
I'm gonna keep it on high until they get a nice golden color.
Golden sear.
So these are protein, so they will get a nice sear. My mouth is watering just thinking about this.
Okay. So this is getting nice and golden brown here. I'm gonna turn it around. Oh yeah, like this one. That's a good one.
And I didn't season too heavily
With
soy sauce since I'm gonna be putting a teriyaki glaze.
glaze on this. So we're going to cover this with
Vegetable broth.
and we're gonna simmer it for about an hour. So these ones are not as brown. So I'm gonna move them around.
They're smelling good though. It has that
Mushroom extract or the mushroom powder, and then
smelled a little bit of garlic and
onion powder. But look how gorgeous these colors are.
so we really need to cook out the taste of kind of like raw flour and the gluten flavor. But this browning smell, oh, it smells really good.
Look at that. Okay. So know your equipment also. I know that this burner usually gets real
Hot in the front here.
where I am. It's a little not as strong in the back. So once your seitan pieces are nicely brown, I'm gonna check the other side too. Yeah, look at this, beautiful. Nice golden color, deep golden color. So I'm gonna add just enough vegetable broth so that it comes up halfway on the seitan. It covers halfway, and we're going to cover this.
And we're gonna simmer it for about 45 minutes to an hour. Okay, so we're gonna turn it down to simmer.
And even if you cover it,
steam will escape from the pan. You will need to check periodically. I would check every 10 minutes. And if it's low on broth, I would add more broth. Okay, so we're gonna cook this for about 45 minutes to an hour. We'll come back and then I'll show you how I would finish it with the teriyaki glaze that I'm gonna show you in another video. So it's been about 15 minutes.
and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip over the seitan so that it will cook evenly. And so every 15 minutes I would flip them over and add a little more
veggie broth to it so that if it looks
dry, you add a little more veggie broth. Okay.
Come back when this is all done cooking for an hour. Alright, so we're back. So
These seitan have been cooking for about
an hour. So
and I flipped them over
over 3 times and
I've added broth so that it would
keep the seitan piece nice and moist. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn on my pan with on high heat.
I'm gonna add a little bit of olive oil. So I'm gonna just eat like, I don't know, one big piece and one small piece
Because it's kind of late. I don't want to eat too much.
But before I put these pieces on there, I'm gonna try to get as much liquid as possible off the seitan because I don't want it splattering everywhere. What I should have done. Okay, so what I'm gonna do with I'm not gonna actually cook it yet. So this is what I'm gonna do. Cause at the restaurant, we used to do
Teriyaki chicken with like chopped up pieces of chicken thigh. So with this, I'm gonna do one whole piece, and then I'm gonna take one and break it apart, because it should look like shredded chicken. We'll see.
So I'm gonna take a piece from here. Actually, this looks like a good piece. Okay, and I'm gonna take, because it's really hot. You can see the steam. And I'm gonna kind of like pull it apart, like if
If it shreds like
how people were making it. Yeah, it does kind of look like shredded chicken meat when you take it apart like this. So not bad. Wow. Okay. So I'm gonna take the pan, turn it on high.
I have some oil in there.
There already. I'm gonna place my whole piece of seitan, and then the shredded ones next to it. And I made this beautiful teriyaki glaze. So once this kind of like gets nice and crispy on the outside, and I get a little bit of color on these other shredded pieces of seitan, I'm gonna add my glaze. So for these pieces here, I usually cooked it with the sauce and kind of like reduce it a little. My mouth is watering, but if you wanted to make it extra flavorful, you can add a little bit more soy sauce in here, and a little bit of garlic, and a little bit of ginger. You could do that while you're cooking this. Okay, so I'm gonna turn it down to low, and I'm gonna add my teriyaki glaze to this. Move the seitan over. And the bigger piece, I'm gonna take my brush and I'm gonna brush on the glaze. I'm gonna turn this over and glaze this piece. Okay, so I'm gonna turn this off now. I made some steamed rice and I sauteed some
I had some asparagus.
mushroom and green onions in the refrigerator. So I kind of like made a little quick saute with the vegan oyster sauce and a little bit of garlic. So let me put these on here. Oh my god. I shouldn't
Eat this much when it's this late, but I'm so hungry. I didn't eat lunch, and it's like 8 o'clock at night. I normally don't put sauce on my rice, but
this sauce is so freaking good. Okay, so let's see. I'm gonna cut into the big piece first, because it's the suspense of it looking like chicken meat. Yeah, it does have the texture of like, let's taste it.
the texture is like chicken, but you get that vital wheat flavor,
Vital wheat.
gluten flavor. Let me taste the shredded one. The shredded one has more flavor of the teriyaki because I finished it, and there's more surface area that gets the sauce in there.
I'm gonna taste some of the rice with the sauce on there.
Just teriyaki sauce. With this teriyaki sauce, I'm gonna show you how to make orange chicken and chili garlic chicken. This sauce, I mean, you will never buy another bottled teriyaki sauce once you learn how to make this. Yum yum. And take a spoonful of everything. Yum. Oh. You get the taste of soy sauce, and then you get that sweetness from the sugar, and then you taste all the other vegetables they put in there, and you get two different kinds of sweetness. One from the pineapple, a little bit acidic, and then in the bag you get the garlic and the ginger to mellow out all that sweetness. And then when you eat everything together with the mushrooms and the asparagus and the green onion, with the seitan, I mean, this looks like chicken.
No. If I served it to a non-vegan, they would probably mistake this for chicken, the way it looks. But it will have
That little bit of vital wheat gluten flavor. Actually, the shredded ones don't have a strong vital wheat gluten flavor, and because I put flour in there, that little bit of flour that didn't get washed out along with the vital wheat gluten, you get that texture of, like, you know, those of you that used to eat chicken used to get like a piece of chicken with like a little bit of fat on it. That's what it reminds me of, like this piece right here. You can tell that
this is part of like the flour that didn't get rinsed out all the way.
I mean, texture is like dead on. And then with this really delicious teriyaki sauce, oh. So good. So if I were to make teriyaki chicken, I wouldn't leave it whole. I would shred it.
I would shred all of it and then cook
Cook it in there with the sauce.
because that sauce makes that.
That gluten flavor kind of like it masks it really well.
That's what I'm actually going to do right now. I'm going to shred this. I know, it's just for myself, so it's okay. I would never do this at a restaurant, right? So once it's shredded like this, I would go back. I should have just cooked one piece because it's a lot of seitan.
Now just imagine this. Breaded, I mean like in a batter and deep fried nice and golden brown. And we make this really delicious orange chicken sauce. And you're gonna plop over that.
So while this cooks, I'm gonna finish eating this seitan again.
So Keto making this version of WTF seitan, I would say is water. So I would even go 4 cups instead of 3.5, because the more hydrated the gluten is, the softer the texture. This is so good. Oh, it's so hot. It's gonna be so hot. And for those of you who likes it spicier, I have sriracha.
Put a little sriracha.
Oh, it would be good sauteed. All gone. That was a big plate of food. I'm so full. But that was delicious. I have so much teriyaki sauce. But I'm going to show you how to use it up. Especially making orange sauce and the chili garlic. So those are going to be my next 2 videos. Watch out for those. Press the like button. Share it with all your friends. Subscribe if you haven't already. So yeah, lately I've been doing a lot of real estate training, so I haven't been uploading as much as I want to, but you know, soon things will balance out. So yeah, if you are ever curious about Arizona, moving here maybe, let me know. I'm your guy. Or if you are already in Arizona and you're thinking about buying, let me know. Or selling. Okay, enough about that. Thanks for watching the video, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time, okay? Bye!